The diploma was still warm in my hands when my father stood up at the family dinner table and called me a failure of an adult. The same man who sat through my first degree, who watched me survive a pandemic that stole 2 years of my life, decided the moment my mother clinked her glass for a toast was the perfect time to announce my eviction to the entire extended family. Is it self-preservation to cut him out, or is it just another way he's right about me being broken? I spent 5 years chasing that piece of paper. 5 years of lab coats and pipettes, of field courses that required counting insects under the sun until my neck burned and my hands shook from caffeine. Then the pandemic hit. Every hands-on course became a Zoom slideshow. Every required fieldwork became a postponed line on my transcript. I watched my graduation date slide from 2020 to 2022, then to 2023. My classmates moved on, got jobs, rented apartments with balconies and dishwashers. I moved back home. My mother said nothing about rent. She left casseroles in the fridge and asked if I needed quiet time to study. My father, though, started counting. Every day I walked past him to the library, he'd mutter about the cost of electricity. Every time I came home late from a study group, he'd be watching the news with the volume turned up too high, asking if I'd found a real job yet. I learned to eat dinner fast, to wash my dishes before he could comment on the water usage, to keep my textbooks hidden under my bed so he wouldn't see them, and start another monologue about how my generation expected handouts. I told myself he was traditional, that he grew up with a father who kicked him out at 18, that his version of love looked like a boot to the backside. I made excuses for him for 3 years, through every final exam and every failed experiment, and every time I had to repeat a course because the lab equipment I needed was locked behind a red tape sign that said access restricted. 3 years of him calling me lazy while I pulled all-nighters in the basement. 3 years of him calling me entitled while I applied to over 200 jobs and got back 42 automated rejections. The Christmas I broke loud. He'd just finished a 10-minute rant at the dinner table about how I was coasting while my cousin who dropped out of community college was now a project manager at a logistics company. I felt something snap in my throat, a wire that had been pulled too tight for too long. I screamed at him. I don't remember all of it, but I remember the words "you are not invited to my graduation" coming out of my mouth like a stranger had taken control of my tongue. My mother dropped her wine glass. My father went pale. For 3 months, he stopped talking to me entirely, which felt like a gift I hadn't known I needed. I graduated in May. I walked across that stage with my chin up, my mother crying in the front row, my father conspicuously absent. I came home that night with a smile so wide my cheeks hurt. I thought maybe the silence meant he'd finally accepted something. I thought maybe the distance had given him time to see how much I'd sacrificed. That was my mistake. On Canada Day, the whole family gathered at my aunt's cottage. The smell of hamburgers on the grill, the sound of cousins splashing in the lake, the fire pit already prepped for fireworks. I was holding a plate of potato salad, laughing at my uncle's terrible pun about beavers. For 1 hour, I was a normal 28-year-old with a degree and a future. Then my father stood up, clinked his beer bottle with a fork, and the whole table went quiet. He looked at me. "My daughter," he said, "has finally finished school. Now she can move out. It's time for her to be an adult. The fact she's still living with us at her age, that's a failure." He said it like he was talking about the weather. He said it like he'd rehearsed it. The potato salad plate started to wobble in my hands. I heard my aunt whisper something about real estate prices and my cousin ask if I'd even applied to any jobs. My father kept going. He talked about how he'd been independent at 19, how he'd never relied on anyone, how my mother's kindness was enabling me. Every word landed like a slap. I couldn't feel my face. I could feel the heat creeping up my neck, the cold sweat beating on my upper lip, the slight tremor starting in my thighs, same tremor I'd get in the lab right before my hands would shake and ruin a slide. I set down the plate. I didn't mean to set it down so hard. The plastic cracked and potato salad spilled across the picnic table like a slow yellow oil spill. No one moved. My father didn't stop. He kept talking about adult responsibility and the real world while my vision blurred and my jaw clamped shut so tight I thought my teeth might crack. I looked at my mother. She was on her feet before I could blink. "That's enough," she said, her voice cutting through his monologue like a knife through butter. He ignored her. He looked right at me, his eyes sharp and satisfied, and he said, "You can't stay forever." "What do you think this is, a hotel?" And I cried. Quietly. The kind of crying that's so silent it feels louder than screaming. The tears hit the spilled potato salad. I watched them land, watched the salt dissolve into the mayonnaise, and I felt all 5 years of work drain out of me. The degree meant nothing. The late nights meant nothing. The pandemic, the delayed courses, the 3 years of his insults, the job search, the rejection letters, the financial anxiety, the exhaustion, the burnout. The way I'd told myself it would all be worth it once I had that diploma in my hands. He'd see, he'd finally see, he'd have to see. He didn't see. He saw a failure. He saw a child. He saw someone to fix, to punish, to push out. My mother put her hand on my shoulder and ordered my father to leave. He didn't leave. He sat back down and started eating his hamburger. My aunt handed me a napkin. My cousin looked at her feet. And I sat at that picnic table, crying over potato salad, while fireworks started to crackle in the distance, red and gold against a purple sky. I sat there and I realized no achievement will ever be enough. I could cure cancer. I could win a Nobel. I could buy a house next door with cash and he'd still find something to criticize, still find a way to remind me that I was a burden, still find a public stage to humiliate me on. The worst part is that part of me believes him. Part of me thinks he's right, that I should have been faster, stronger, smarter, more independent, less needy, less broken, less autistic, less me. That I'm not a real adult because I need help, because the economy is a nightmare, because I couldn't force my way through a pandemic like it was a personal obstacle course designed just for me. I stayed at the table for 45 more minutes. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just sat there while the fireworks popped, and my father ate his burger and my mother yelled at him in the kitchen, her voice muffled by the sound of the grill. I watched my family laugh and talk like nothing had happened, like I hadn't just been evicted in front of everyone I loved, like I hadn't just been told, in the most public, humiliating way possible, that my entire existence was an inconvenience. Tonight, I will go back to the basement. I will sleep on the twin bed I've had since high school. I will wake up and apply to jobs on a laptop that overheats if I have more than 3 tabs open. And I will spend the rest of my life wondering if cutting him out is a betrayal of family, or if keeping him in is a betrayal of myself.
Your father's behavior is a classic case of projecting his own unresolved identity grief onto you. He equates adulthood with a narrow, linear milestone moving out because his own self-worth is likely staked on that traditional script. Your delayed graduation and continued residence at home, which are rational responses to external constraints, threaten that script. So he attacks you not because you are a failure, but because your existence forces him to confront the fragility of his own life narrative. The public nature of his humiliations serves to recruit witnesses, validating his worldview and isolating you from potential allies. It is a calculated, albeit unconscious, act of emotional regulation at your expense.